Weather for Weather Geeks time here on Monday evening, the 19th day of March. Tomorrow's the 20th. Tomorrow is the start of spring, but we don't have much spring-like weather coming anytime real soon. You know that gag on Jimmy Kimmel where celebrities read their mean tweets? I should read you some of my Facebook comments today. Whoa, it's pretty rough. A lot of people have pretty misinformed opinions, of course. What else is new on Facebook? Stuff about how we're never right and it's just guessing and, that sort of thing. What's happened today is a couple of things. We had to make a big change to the forecast today as a result of the storm system showing its hand and the models coming into much better agreement today as opposed to the weekend. Much better agreement today on where the swath of snow would be and where the swath of heaviest snow would be. You couple that with right now, as of the afternoon and evening, there's a lot of different forecasts out there. Some people have adjusted faster than others. We have adjusted very quickly and made our forecast much more, dramatic. It's not fake drama. It's what we think is going to happen. But our forecast is certainly different than some other sources, both on television and with the National Weather Service and other sources as well. Everybody, wants to show me their screenshot of their Weather Channel app and that sort of thing. And so it's throwing a lot of people off. And people don't like that sort of confusion. And they just sort of throw up their hands and say, hey, how are we supposed to believe anyone? I understand that frustration to a certain extent, but, some of the comments are a bit much on Facebook. Anyway, as we are looking at the radar this evening at about 7:30, here's what's going on. This is our storm. It's producing a tornado threat down in parts of the deep south, northern Alabama right now especially, but parts of Middle Tennessee. Notice there's no snow with this yet, but as this moves north and east, it's going to run into the colder air later on tonight and heading into the day tomorrow. Here are the watches, warnings, and advisories the Weather Service has out right now. The Pittsburgh Weather Service hoisted a winter weather advisory for Lawrence County and Columbiana County and points to the south, southwest, southeast. It's a winter storm warning in the mountainous areas of West Virginia up into southwest PA, and it's a winter storm watch in southeast Ohio. A lot of stuff here. The Cleveland Weather Service office sitting this one out so far, but I suspect what you're going to see overnight into tomorrow morning is a layer of counties added to the winter weather advisory. I expect you're going to see Pittsburgh upgrade the winter weather advisory to a winter storm warning in more counties. I would expect Columbiana to be in that, probably Lawrence as well. That will occur, if I were a betting man, I would say it'll occur with the 3 a.m. update tomorrow morning. If not then by the middle of the morning tomorrow. That's what I think the Weather Service will indeed do. Let's time this out for you. All right. So a couple of things about what I'm going to show you here. This is our in-house model. Its abbreviation is RPM. It's one of the many, many computer models that we look at. This model, I like its timing as far as the arrival of the snow. It's a little fast, probably. It has it snowing down towards East Liverpool by 10 or 11 in the morning. That's probably a little fast. But I think in a lot of places it'll start snowing by early afternoon. Notice what it does, though. It sort of has the snow sort of shriveling up and going away for a while early in the evening. Not sure if that's the right idea. I'm not buying that at this point. I couldn't rule it out. But I'm not ready to buy it completely just yet. And then it tries to reinvigorate the snow overnight into tomorrow morning. But Wednesday morning, I should say. What you'll notice here is it hardly has it snowing at all north of I-80. It literally has no snow in Cortland, in Greenville, and places like that. And I don't buy that. I don't think that's right. Nonetheless, the snow will end from north to south Wednesday morning early. And actually, I think the weather will improve fairly quickly Wednesday afternoon. We'll get into some sun. The wind's straight out of the north. It's going to be a chilly breeze Wednesday afternoon. But we will sneak back a little above freezing. And with that strong March sun coming out, I expect the road conditions to improve pretty rapidly during Wednesday afternoon. All right, I'm going to show you some of our modeling here. This is for Lisbon. And the reason I picked Lisbon is it's kind of in the middle of our southern viewing area. I think it'll be fairly representative of what can happen in Columbiana and East Liverpool and East Palestine and Hanoverton and heading over towards Newcastle, kind of that zone. I think this will be fairly representative of that. So I picked Lisbon to show you this. The model I just showed you, the RPM, it's the green line right there. It's easily the model with the least amount of snow. It's an outlier for sure. A couple of our major models here, I don't put much stock in the Canadian model, which is the blue line, CMC, that's Canadian model. I put more stock in the NAM, the GFS, and the European at this range. The European and the GFS, pretty good agreement on 7-8 inches of snow in central Columbiana County. The NAM went nuts this afternoon. In fact, let me just show you real quick this afternoon's NAM. You know, this thing is on steroids. It has 16 inches of snow in a lot of our viewing area. That's what we call the happy hour run of the NAM. Call it the happy hour run because it gets in late afternoon. It's kind of the mid to late afternoon run of the NAM. It has 1.5 foot worth of snow almost in a lot of areas. We're not going to forecast that. But since one of our major short to medium range models is showing something that ridiculous, we have to keep that in mind. While I certainly would never forecast this at this range, it shows you what is on the table as far as like a 2% chance of something happening. The bounds of this are pretty extreme. You know, I can't rule out someone trying to get a foot worth of snow out of this. Again, I think 16 inches is pushing it. Now up towards Youngstown, Warren, and into the Niles area. Let me bring that back up. You know, kind of the heart of the viewing area. Amounts are going to be lower. Again, I don't buy the RPM clear down here. The GFS has about 4 in Vienna down to Youngstown over to Warren. European about 6-7. NAM goes nuts. And so I kind of like, you know, the happy medium here as far as the Youngstown to Austintown up to Vienna, Warren type of zone. Now this is our official forecast. I drew this by hand on a piece of paper this afternoon and then put it on our pretty graphics. Generally speaking, what I have is 6 to 9 inches from I-80 on south, 3 to 6 inches to the north. Now, a couple caveats here. This is going to change. We're going to look at all the evening computer model runs before the 11 o'clock news tonight and make any tweaks as needed. AJ will do the same thing tomorrow morning. So surely the delineation line is going to wiggle here some. You notice the hot pink is trying to sneak into southwestern Lawrence County. I do have a 9 to 12 inch zone from, say, the northern suburbs of Pittsburgh up towards Elwood City and then back towards the PA Turnpike. That's going to be a horrendous drive on the PA Turnpike late tomorrow into tomorrow night. You know, if you've traveled east through Pennsylvania, the southern route across the Turnpike and heading over towards Breezewood, if you've traveled to DC, you know, going that way, really hilly terrain, and when it snows over there, bad news. And they're going to be right in the bullseye with the snow. All right, so a lot of the comments have to do that I've seen on Facebook have to do with the forecast they're seeing from the National Weather Service out of Pittsburgh and also the TV forecasts from the Pittsburgh stations being quite a bit lower than this. Will those forecasts be right or wrong? Well, who am I to say? The storm hasn't even arrived yet. Just because I have a different forecast doesn't mean they're going to be wrong. I like my forecast better, but I would never say someone else's forecast is going to be wrong when the storm hasn't even started yet. We'll see how it goes, and at the end, we'll see who's right and who's wrong. I think what you're seeing from the Weather Service and some TV forecasters is they're just not adjusting fast enough. A lot of TV meteorologists don't like to stray too far from the National Weather Service forecast, and that's fine. But you know, I've been doing this for 16 and a half years, and I'm pretty independent of the Weather Service at this point. I really hardly even look at their forecast until I've made mine. So, you know, that's a little bit of, you know, kind of the behind the scenes of what can happen in the TV weather world. If the Weather Service is being pretty conservative, chances are a lot of the TV meteorologists in the market are going to be pretty conservative as well. And again, I'm not saying that is a bad thing. It's just everybody's experience level is different. Everybody's level of expertise is different, and that's fine. That's the nature of the beast. Here's what I have as far as weather impacts for Tuesday and Wednesday. Clock times up here. I would expect the highest impacts on the roads and with reduced visibility to be after sunset Tuesday evening into the overnight hours. Now, before sunset, it's going to be snowing, again, especially south of I-80, but it's going to be during the day in mid to late March. Tomorrow's the first day of spring. It's really hard for snow to stick unless it's really coming down hard during the daylight hours at this time of year. But after the sun sets, temperatures are going to drop back into the upper 20s. The snow can certainly stick to untreated surfaces. Even the roads that are treated, there can be some issues. during the kind of the peak of things tomorrow night, very, very early on Wednesday. So reduced visibility can be a concern. Secondary roads that tend not to be treated as much can certainly have some eye impacts. Other impacts, everybody likes to ask me about school adjustments and winter storms. Not my call, but my suspicion is if the forecast works out as I think it will, you'll see a lot of adjustments tomorrow night for Wednesday morning. Some districts might wait until Wednesday morning. And the power outage concern, fairly minimal. Now, the one caveat here is if kind of the top end of possibilities works out, if someone gets a foot of snow, I can't rule out some power outages as a result. But this is not going to be a super windy storm. It's not going to be a real super heavy, wet, cement-like snow that can really weigh down tree limbs and power lines. Not real concerned about that. So I'm not real concerned about the power outages overall. It's not unusual to have big snows in March. In fact, it's pretty common. I showed this earlier in the winter, maybe at the start of March. I looked back through the records going back to 1950, and I looked at the number of days with 6 inches or more of snow at the Youngstown Warren Airport in that calendar day. The most days are in March, easily. It's not even close. What happens in the middle of winter is, we get a lot of lake effect flurries and snow showers. We get some Alberta clippers, and we get 2-3 inches here and there, maybe 4 or 5 in the stronger clippers. But the storms that have the potential to bring us big amounts of snow actually are more common late in the season and even into early spring. So some people may be surprised by that. Real quick before I leave you tonight, because this video is certainly long enough at this point, wanted to show you the longer range and how there's not a lot of good news here. These are the temperature anomalies, European long-range modeling. Blues and greens and purples, those are below average temperatures. Oranges and reds are above average. And you'll notice as I roll this forward, we don't get into the reds very much through the end of the month. Now, is it going to be freezing cold? No. But we're going to have our time seeing a lot of days where it's above average temperature-wise. And keep in mind, our averages are rising quickly at this time of the year. By the end of this month, our average is in the lower 50s for highs. So a 49-degree day at the end of this month is a chilly day. So would I expect a lot of days in this pattern to be as cold as, it has been lately, where it struggles to get to freezing? No. But we're not going to see a lot of days where it's in the 60s and 70s either. So true spring is still a ways off. All right, stay tuned for more updates this evening on social media, of course. I will do a Facebook Live before the 11 o'clock news tonight, probably around 10:15, 10:30. I'll have the latest model information in front of me and make any changes as needed. If you haven't downloaded it yet, chances are you have if you're watching this video. But if you haven't yet, the Storm Tracker 21 app is the place to go for human-generated forecasts, lots of detail, lots of short videos, much shorter than this one on that app.